You're listening to the Better Relationships After Baby podcast, where I believe your relationship can be stronger than ever after having a baby. It just takes tools, conversation, and support to help you get there. I'm Chelsea Skaggs, certified life and relationship coach, mom of two, and survivor and thriver of tough relationship challenges after babies. I'm committed to helping couples just like you improve your communication skills, connection points, and personal confidence so that you can have the life and family you've always dreamt of. Now, let's get to today's episode. Hi, friends. Welcome to another episode of Better Relationships After Baby, the podcast dedicated to empowering couples to reclaim their voice and find a lifestyle that works for you. I'm life and relationship coach Chelsea Skaggs, and today we're diving into a topic that can truly transform the way you and your partner navigate the beautiful, chaotic journey of raising young children. We're talking about identifying our glass and plastic balls. And no, I'm not talking about like balls, you silly goose. Have you ever felt like you're juggling 100 things at once? Like maybe you are a circus performer who accidentally signed up for the extreme juggling challenge, where the balls are on fire and occasionally turn into squealing toddlers. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you're trying to balance work, household responsibilities, and the never-ending needs of a toddler, baby, or preschooler. It's like trying to cook a gourmet meal with a tiny sous chef who's not interested and wants to finger paint with the flour. But here's the kicker. Not everything we juggle is of equal importance. Some things are like glass balls, delicate, fragile, and shattered, drastic if dropped. Others are plastic balls, which are durable and bouncy and will simply roll under the couch if you let them go. So today, let's figure out which ones are which before we start performing our juggling act in the middle of the kitchen floor. Glass balls are the crucial tasks and responsibilities that, if dropped, can and will have significant consequences. These are the things that need our immediate attention and care. Plastic balls, on the other hand, are those tasks that can be put aside or even dropped without causing major issues. They might bounce back or they can be picked up later without much harm being done. The disconnect happens when you want to turn plastic balls into glass balls and you literally cannot keep up. Does that sound like you? Have you been trying to juggle all of these balls and not having the time, energy, or priority to figure out which ones do and don't need juggled? I remember feeling this way as a mom, and so many things felt pressing, like they all had to be done. They were all important, when in reality, I had elevated things to a level of importance based on maybe comparison or outside expectation or trying to keep up with another mom or just the idea I had in my head of motherhood. And I felt like I was fucking drowning. So I don't want you to drown. I don't want you to be in that place. And I want to invite you today to take this concept and to think about how you and your partner can work together to prioritize, to figure out what is going to make the biggest impact, and to really have some time to breathe and build in a little space in your life. Identifying which balls are glass and which are plastic is kind of like sorting your laundry into delicates and stuff the kids will probably outgrow next week anyway. It's vital for maintaining a balance and reducing your stress. And aren't we always looking for ways to reduce stress because motherhood is big and heavy and stressful? So think of this as figuring out which tasks are worth sweating over and which ones you can let slide without the whole house turning into a bad reality TV show about domestic disasters. It helps you focus on what truly matters, like remembering to pick your kid up from preschool on time, Instead of stressing over those perfectly folded, fitted sheets. Who cares? Maybe you care, right? But like, if it's causing stress and it's not that important, it doesn't have to mean you put it aside forever. You can fold those fitted sheets in another season where you have more capacity. Plus, it lets you feel more in control of your life as if you are the ringmaster of your little personal chaotic circus. I don't think we can escape things feeling like a circus. So let's help you to be the ringmaster and not someone else who doesn't know what's going on and is just hanging on by a thread for survival. This clarity is especially important when you have young children because the demands on your time and energy are constant. Imagine being in a never ending game of whack a mole, where every mole is a different urgent task: feeding the baby, finding the missing shoe, answering work emails, and then realizing you haven't had a hot meal in like 3 days. You don't even have to imagine because probably you've lived that reality at some point in your journey. But by knowing which balls are glass, you can prioritize the things that keep your family functioning smoothly, like meals and making sure the diaper bag isn't empty before you go out, and recognizing the plastic balls, which means you can build in some forgiveness for yourself and, yes, even your partner for the less crucial stuff, like not handcrafting organic gluten-free snacks every single day. After all, let me tell you this: no one's giving out medals for the most Pinterest perfect lunchboxes at daycare, okay? It's okay. Let some things slide. I want to give you a few common examples of glass and plastic balls. And I'm thinking about any of you who have kids in the like 0 to 5 range. So some of these apply to you, some don't. But let's just look at some examples so that you can start thinking, okay, glass, plastic, and then be able to communicate that with your partner. So some glass balls: your child's health and well being, feeding and meal times, sleep routines and bedtimes, safety and supervision, quality time and bonding with your child, and quality time and bonding with your partner. Plastic balls may include, but are not limited to, deep cleaning the house, organizing closets or the pantry, or even getting those the size that your child just grew out of. Like, it's okay if they sit in a box for 3 months or 6 months or whenever you get around to them. You don't have to sell them on Marketplace or take them to the consignment store right away. It's going to be okay. Non-urgent emails and social media, perfectly folded laundry, maintaining a tidy home at all times. You get to decide what really truly matters and has an impact, and you get to work with your partner on figuring out what these things are and what you're willing to stress about and what has to slide. And sometimes that feels freeing, and sometimes you like keep this tight grip, like it's so hard to let it go. But for a season, especially in these chaotic seasons of like 0 to 5, really, um, it has to go. I am just now picking up balls when my kids are 5 and 7 that I've had to set down for the last 5 years. At 5 and 7, it feels like my kids are independent enough. They can step up to the plate a little bit more. They're able to pack their own lunches. And I had to give up. Like, yes, I have some stipulations about what they can pack. They can't pack, a Pop Tart and a sucker and a fruit roll up and call it a lunch. We do have some stipulations, but it's not as perfect. And I also had to let go thinking about what the teachers at school would think about me based on what they think about my child's lunch. Like, we've got to cut the strings in some places. But I say that to say that, again, 5 years. My youngest is 5 years old, and it's now that I am really starting to be able to pick up some of those balls that just didn't make the cut in the early days. Now, identifying these balls, I've said balls so many times. I am a 12-year-old boy at heart, you guys, so forgive me. But identifying these balls isn't something you have to do alone. Think of it as a team sport rather than a solo juggling act. Again, I'm a 12-year-old boy. I don't know why calling juggling balls a team sport instead of a solo juggling act felt so silly to me, but it did. Now to be a grown up again. Working with your partner to distinguish between the glass and plastic balls can strengthen your relationship and improve communication. We have to improve communication. So much misunderstanding happens, and that builds resentment and argument patterns and misunderstandings. We have to improve communication, and this is a great way to do it. It's kind of like finding a cheat code to the game that is your life, where teamwork is actually what truly makes the dream work. Next time you're in an argument with your partner, maybe grab their hand and say, babe, teamwork makes the dream work, because it is you and your partner against the world, against the stressors and the problems that come up. It's not usually you against your partner. And here's why this is so important. When you and your partner are on the same page about what's critical, it reduces those misunderstandings and unnecessary conflicts. So instead of arguing over who forgot to take out the trash, you both understand that keeping the baby fed and happy is a glass ball, while the overflowing laundry basket is a pain in the ass. Yes, it's frustrating, it's annoying, but it's a plastic ball that can usually wait until tomorrow or next week or until all the clothes have been dug through and used and it's going through the wash again, like what commonly happens in my house. By identifying and agreeing on what's essential, you can create that shared responsibility and mutual support. So you have a co pilot on your parenting adventure. You both know what needs to be done to keep the plane in the air. The plane doesn't have to do tricks. The plane doesn't have to get there faster than any other plane. The plane has to stay in the air. So what you need to know is what keeps this plane in the air and how can we divide those tasks accordingly. Having this shared understanding helps in, again, reducing resentment, as neither partner feels like they're carrying the weight of the world alone. Also, I see this a lot with my moms who are turning plastic balls into glass balls, again, because of comparison and outside expectations. And so you're making the list more than you and your partner have capacity for, and you're feeling resentful towards your partner because it's not all getting done. You're feeling like a piece of shit as a mom, a partner, a human, because it's not all getting done. But guess what? Not everybody, nobody, honestly, is doing everything. Okay, people are identifying their different glass balls. And usually when you're seeing other people's highlight reels, it is related to their glass balls, their values, their things that are most important. Chances are there are some plastic balls that are falling in their life just like yours, okay? So let's let that go. This practice of distinguishing between glass and plastic can enhance your problem-solving skills as a couple. You'll start to develop a shorthand for what's truly important, which makes navigating the daily chaos so much easier. For example, if the toddler throws a tantrum right when you're about to have a crucial work call, that would never happen, right? Both of you will instinctively know how to handle the situation without having to debate it in the heat of the moment, because you've had these conversations, because you have figured out where the priorities are, where the glass balls are. So here's how you can start this process. Number one, always and forever, open dialogue. I don't know how many times, it's a lot, that I revisit this concept of open dialogue. This is where I start with all of my coaching clients, because there are things that are happening in your head that aren't happening in the playing field for you and your partner to actually work with. And this builds resentments and missed expectations and letdowns and loneliness. So we have to set aside time to talk about the daily routines and responsibilities and what is going to take the important spot. Be honest and open about what you each find stressful and what you consider non-negotiable. This is not a blame game. It's about understanding each other's perspectives. Next, list and organize. So, maybe your pretending to be project managers together who have this big work project with multiple pieces, and not every idea is going to make the cut. You just have to, again, keep the plane in the air, keep the ship moving forward. So make that list of all the tasks and responsibilities that you handle, and then categorize them. These are glass balls, these are plastic balls. Maybe you highlight it and use a colored marker or sticky notes to make it physically or visually fun and engaging, and know what those things are. Number 3 is to define the roles and responsibilities. So when you've categorized the tasks, decide who will take charge of which responsibilities. This is a huge part of splitting the load, having weekly check ins, which is something I specifically help my clients to establish. I'm about to start with clients right now, and that is our main objective, to figure out how to build in a weekly check in to avoid the excuses and make that a priority, because they see how that would alleviate stress and tension throughout the week. This doesn't mean one person gets all the glass balls and the other gets all the plastic ones. Instead, it's working together to find a balance that works for you both, and being flexible to switch roles when needed. And then following that up with, I'm going to say it again, regular check ins. Life with young children is constantly changing. So this is not a one and done. You've had the meeting, you know how it's going. Great, let's continue forever on. You have to make it a habit to regularly check in and assess your glass and plastic balls. What was a plastic ball last month that might be a glass ball this month, and vice versa. And please make sure that you're celebrating your small wins. Acknowledge each other's efforts and celebrate the small victories. Whether it's just surviving a week without any major mishaps or successfully navigating a really tough situation together, take that time to stop and appreciate each other's contributions. It's going to make you feel better as a team. It's going to make the person who did something feel good and appreciated. And appreciation is one of the most overlooked tools that we have. People who feel appreciated are motivated to really step up, step in, and be part of their team. And by working together to identify your glass and plastic balls, you'll not only lighten the load, but build a stronger, more resilient partnership. And that's what we want and need. It's about creating a home environment where both of you, both partners, feel valued, supported, and understood, where you are juggling in sync rather than solo performers who are on the brink of burnout on their own. With some clients I work with recently, we realized a lot of their tension was coming from having different opinions on needs and wants, or the glass balls and plastic balls. So I'm not saying this is going to be easy breezy, line down the middle. But once we identified that this was a point of tension, we were able to create ways to discuss their individual views and find more alignment. And over time, that really did help to alleviate the resentment and stress that they were experiencing. And that is what I want for so many of you, to not have stress and resentment and hard feelings in your relationship that don't have to be there. I'm not saying that I'm here to make your relationship perfect. That would be such a lie. That is not possible. But having more alignment, having stronger communication and understanding so that there's less resentment, less stress, less overwhelm, and just more empowered connection, that's really what we're going for here. So, what happens when you and your partner don't see the same things as glass balls? This is a common issue. Like I said, I just worked with a couple on this, and it can be a source of tension. So, I do want to give you some tips on that. One is starting with respect. Respect each other's perspectives. You may have different priorities based on your individual experiences and stressors. So, respect these and then work to compromise. Also, seek to understand. So, assume less and ask questions more to understand why your partner sees a particular task as a glass ball. This can provide some insight into their concerns, their priorities, and help you find that common ground. Get better at asking questions instead of making assumptions and judging whether that is or isn't the way that you're thinking about things. And reevaluate together. So regularly revisit the list of glass and plastic balls. Life with young children is dynamic and dynamite and sometimes just feels like an explosion. So those priorities can change. They're going to change. Reevaluating ensures that you're both on the same page. Sometimes disagreements happen in the moment. So here's what to do if one of you sees something as a glass ball, but the other doesn't, especially in real time. And these are like not mind blowing tips. These are these simple regulation and connection tips. Pause and breathe, okay? Take a moment, calm down if emotions are running high. Deep breaths are going to help you think more clearly, and rushing into figuring it out 10 seconds or even 10 minutes earlier is not going to be helpful if you're showing up with that overwhelmed energy. After you do that, acknowledge and validate. Acknowledge your partner's perspective, even if you don't agree. Validation can diffuse tension. For example, saying something like, I understand that you feel this is important because blank can keep the conversation open instead of turning on the defenses and back and forth where that conversation then shuts down without any resolution. And then decide when there is respect established and when there is, a diffusion by validating and stepping into your partner's story, you can discuss the immediate priority. If it's not urgent, then pick a time on the calendar. Hopefully, this is your weekly check-in to revisit the topic and really get into it. If it is urgent, then decide who will handle it while the other manages the kids or another task and just kind of keeps going with the routine that was expected. But figuring out which balls are glass and which are plastic isn't always so straightforward. And really, that's where working with a coach can make a huge difference. As a coach, I can help you as a third party who is rooting for the success of your relationship, not for one against the other. I can help you and your partner identify your priorities, improve your communication skills, and develop a plan that works for your unique family dynamics. If you're feeling overwhelmed and you want to create more balance and joy in your family life, then reach out for a coaching session. Together, we will identify your glass and plastic balls and help you focus on what truly matters so that you can enjoy more of the life you've built together. Remember, you're not alone in this journey. You can reclaim your voice. You can create a parenthood and family dynamic that works for you. And if you haven't already listened to former episodes, there's a lot of information, recommendations, and insights on how to do that here on the Better Relationships After Baby podcast or over on Instagram at Postpartum Together. Until next time, take care of yourself and please be kind to yourself and be patient with yourself and your partner. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be so grateful if you take a minute to help spread the word. As a small business owner, shares and reviews go a long way. So share this episode with a friend, share it on your social media, and please leave a review if you haven't done so. This helps these messages get to more mamas, and you guys, that's how we change the world.